Hi, I'm David Reid. I'm the British Deputy High Commissioner in Ottawa, and I'm delighted to be joined this morning by David Coletto, Chief of Abacus Data. And David, you're going to show us your outdoor oasis. And the reason we're doing this is heading into Mental Health Week in Canada and Mental Health Awareness Week in the UK. Nature is a big theme of that, particularly as we head into the landmark climate conference in Glasgow in November. So David, tell us a bit about where you are and why this place means so much to you.
Well, great to see you, David. Thanks for having me do this. I am right on the banks of the Ottawa River. It's the main river that runs through the National Capital Region, and it has a wonderful pathway system that basically hugs the river from east to west across the city, on both sides actually of the river. And it is one of my favorite places in the city because of what we can do around it. It's close enough to the city, but you almost, once you cross a major road, you feel like you're in nature. You've got birds and ducks and the water, and it's got everything you need. It's got a great pathway system for biking or running or just a walk in the warmer months, and then in the winter, they actually turn it into a great cross-country ski track. So it is just wonderful. I'll give you a quick look at what I get to see here. So that's headed east. Ottawa downtown and Parliament is that way, and then Quebec is across the river, and then down you can see along the banks there. And if you see just across there, there's like a telecom tower. That's Gatineau Park. And I think that's the jewel in the crown of the Ottawa and Gatineau area. Right now, I can't go over there because of some COVID restrictions, but that is my oasis. Almost every day of the year, I'll take my bike over there, and it's just a wonderful place. It's quiet. They've also, and I really appreciate our National Capital Commission. For large parts of the summer, they don't let cars drive on the roads in the park, and so even more so, you get closer to nature. You hear the birds, you see wildlife, and you can just kind of isolate yourself, separate yourself from the stress of the day to day, and just get a good exercise and good mental quiet time.
And David, I fully agree with you. I think Gatineau is the jewel here, and it's a place that I love to go when we can. But at the moment, just enjoying the green belt around Ottawa is great as well. I think you talked about cross-country skiing, that's been fantastic, but also just getting out and about with the kids at the weekends. Tell me a bit about sort of how nature sort of helps you stay positive in these challenging times.
Well, obviously this past year has been unprecedented, and where we can't do a lot of the other things that might bring us joy, or like see family, hug people, go to do attend events. Just getting outside has been so helpful and really important to my own mental health. It's been a stressful year. Both work's busy, life's challenging, and the ability to just get outside, find a quiet place, whether you're alone or with my partner. And for me, it's biking, getting on the bike and spending an hour, 2 hours exploring in quiet, kind of remote areas is ideal. And I say it's my therapy. It has been the thing that kind of gets me excited. I look forward. One of the challenging parts of COVID has been the repetitiveness of every single day, the fear of getting the virus, and what riding outside has meant is really anticipation. It's given me some anticipation of looking forward to something. And we've had a really early spring here in Ottawa. David, could get really, really cold for quite a long time. We've lucked out in a weird way. It's been a nice spring to get us outside earlier, and flowers bloomed earlier, the trees had opened up. And so that's been a nice plus in all of this.
And I think just that ability to tune into your surroundings a little bit during COVID has been great. I mean, I'm hearing the birds singing in the background here, and just being a little bit more conscious of nature and the surroundings has been one of the positives. We've talked a bit about how Canadian public attitudes have developed over the last couple of years, and I've been really interested in the polling work that you've been doing. But could you tell us a bit about how you've seen attitudes to nature and to climate change develop over the last year or so during COVID?
I think Canadians have always been a people who really value conservation. Right? We know we're really lucky to live in Canada. We have amazing diversity in our natural landscapes, whether you talk about like the West and the Rockies and then the coasts and the prairies. There's so much that we have. And so deep down, almost all Canadians say we need to conserve what we have. But I think the pandemic has put that into focus in two ways. One is, how fragile life can actually be. And I was watching that really fascinating documentary that David Attenborough just did on Apple Plus, right? Talking about how the world, when the world stopped, how did nature kind of take over? And what it was this brief moment where, wildlife kind of was able to come back out, and you saw kind of the world regenerate in a very period of time. I think there was lots of lessons there for us about, first, that we can do this. We can confront the climate crisis. We can conserve our wild spaces. But two, I do think, and I see it in our polling, people generally, I think, come to appreciate the simple things in life again, right? Because our lives have been simplified so much that, as you said, the sound of birds, singing in the background, or the way the water sounds when it comes up against the shore, are all things that we maybe took for granted. And during these last 14 months have been those things that have brought a lot of joy. So I do think coming out of this pandemic, you're going to have more people who say, let's get this done. Enough talking about, dealing with this. And I think you're seeing political leaders around the world, your government is a big driver in that. I think the Trudeau government here in Canada is also a partner. You now have President Biden who's on side, and you've got the public who's with those leaders. And so I think we're getting, as bad as this pandemic has been, it might be the catalyst to seeing, finally, I think, some real action that people have long been ahead probably of their political leaders in wanting to see it happen.
And you mentioned how the stars are aligning with President Biden, Prime Minister Trudeau, Prime Minister Johnson, all putting the emphasis on climate action. So as we go into the final 6-month run up to the Glasgow Climate Change Summit, COP26, what would be the sort of message that you'd like to see come out of that conference?
I think unity is really important. I think, having a global consensus, especially those big, leader, the G7 countries saying this is going to be a priority, and this is actually how we're going to get there, right? Because I think one of the things that holds people back, as much as they recognize it as a crisis and they know we have to do something about it, is the fact that they need to be led, they need to be told and set benchmarks. And I think we're starting to see that move along. And as technology advances and it becomes easier for people in their own day-to-day lives and in the macro level to change our behaviors, to change the way we do things, that's going to be a real driver. So that's, I think, the message is a message of hope. I think if, people have to feel it's possible that we can do it. And I think the optimism that's sort of building up right now, and yeah, the pandemic has sort of made people down. It's certainly, soured the mood in many places, but our ability to come up with a vaccine, human beings are so amazingly smart that we figured out within a year of developing multiple vaccines for COVID-19. I think there's no doubt that we can find a way to deal with climate change. And that needs to be, I think, a strong message that will reinforce the public's desire to see action and support what our political leaders really want us and need us to do.
Well, thank you very much, David. Thank you for giving us that message of hope. And I feel like we're heading into that direction. You mentioned David Attenborough earlier. He's one of the leading ambassadors running up to COP26. And I think if anyone can give the world a message of how seriously we need to take this, but also how we can deal with this, it's him. Thank you so much for showing us your outdoor oasis and looking over to the Gatineau side. I'm looking forward to having a chance to get over there again. I hope maybe we can do it in person on a bike or on a walk at some point.
I can't wait, and I think we're getting there soon. And you have a great great summer, and great to see you, David.
Great, and enjoy the rest of your ride.
Thank you.